Have you seen this guy in the news? Or have you seen headlines like this all over the internet, social media, newspapers, and TV? Well, it's because what happened and the amount of money that was involved may be one of the worst of its kind in the finance space.
The worst.
It's actually being compared to Bernie Madoff and Enron, and let's just say this is much worse.
Much worse.
In a matter of just a couple days, Sam Bankman-Fried's net worth went from $16 billion to zero as his trading company Alameda Research and his cryptocurrency exchange FTX went bankrupt. Now, not only that, but the value of many cryptocurrencies lost up to 80% of their value, and many individuals with their money tied up in FTX have significantly watched their net worths just get completely destroyed. Some pretty much lost everything.
I lost everything.
And on top of that, a lot of trust has been lost in cryptocurrency.
No trust.
But before I get into how this actually happened, I'm Sean, and this is The Modest Wallet, where we make money simple. In this instance, we're trying to make this whole financial catastrophe simple to understand. All right, back to the story. Let's go back to the beginning and talk about Sam Bankman-Fried. Let's just call him SBF for short. SBF started his professional career as a trader at Jane Street Capital after graduating with a degree from MIT in 2014. While at Jane Street, SBF specialized in arbitrage trading. An arbitrage trade is one where a trader purchases an asset in one market and instantly sells it for a higher price elsewhere for a risk-free profit. So with that said, it wasn't long till in 2017, SBF discovered crypto. Now at that point, crypto was still on the up and up, and he saw a need for more options for buying and selling cryptocurrency. He also took his arbitrage skills and started to do it with crypto in Japan. So just to recap, once again, he would buy Bitcoin in America and sell it for more in Japan. Profits were flooding in, and he decided to found what we now know as Alameda Research, which some refer to as a hedge fund, and he did this in November of 2017 at the age of 25. Shortly after that, SBF turned his attention to crypto exchanges and built what we now know or knew as FTX. SBF used Alameda to fund or provide liquidity to FTX, keeping the amount of employees low and setting up shop initially in Hong Kong for regulatory reasons before moving the business to the Bahamas. Now, in a recent statement, he did declare that he said he thinks he did nothing wrong. Now, back to the story. To put it more simply, in early 2022, SBF was able to avoid a major liquidity problem at first with the $60 billion collapse of one crypto, only for the collapse of the FTX native coin to collapse from a major sell-off after the CoinDesk story hit. This is a classic case of someone borrowing money that doesn't belong to them without consent and losing it in the process only to be found out. On November 11th, SBF resigned from his role as CEO of FTX shortly before FTX filed for a Chapter 11 bankruptcy. Now the story gets worse as it was determined that SBF was the second largest donor to Joe Biden in the 2020 presidential election, personally donating $5.2 million, as well as donating $40 million to mostly Democratic candidates during the 2022 midterm elections. We also later come to find out that SBF was living a lavish life in a $40 million penthouse in the Bahamas. SBF's FTX threw millions of dollars into naming rights, partnerships, and sponsorships in the sports world, and was affiliated with some of the biggest names in the industry. The sudden collapse of FTX has left people stunned in the aftermath, and according to PitchBook, investors plowed $1.9 billion into FTX since 2019. Now they fear they lost everything. On paper, FTX looked great, with revenue soaring from $89 million in 2020 to over $1 billion in 2021. The question you might be asking is, where do we go from here? And I don't have a crystal ball, so only time will tell as bankruptcy court plays out. As for SBF, it does not look good either, as he could face more than 20 years in prison if convicted, and some might say that's not enough. Thank you so much for watching our recap of what happened with Sam Bankman-Fried and FTX. I hope you found value and maybe learned something in the process. And if you did, please hit that like button and I'll see you in the next video.